All right, I think we're there. Let's give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know. I think we're live, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of LunchTalk Live. Today is April 7th, 2022. Oh, I messed it up. The year of our Lord, 2022. Yeah, I did. I messed that up. Anyway, guys, check this out. We're going to be talking about how to identify, even if you are stressed out, but understanding the importance of it as we celebrate National Stress Awareness Month. Interesting enough, today, April 7th, is the day that they like to bring that out to you guys and make it, raise awareness of it. So we're going to be back with a couple tips on how you can get through this, identify stress, and what you can do about it. Be back to you in 30 seconds or less. Donnie, get us out of here. We are back. Krista, always a pleasure to see you.
So excited.
Yeah.
I mean,
tell me why.
That new intro music, I know it's Stress Awareness Day, but I'm not feeling stressed at all. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it's going to be good when we finally get to we have so many projects. I'm like, it's National Stress Awareness Day.
As you're
as I'm like trying not to stress out, right? A lot going on. So here's what prompted this.
Yeah.
Okay. So with we do a daily coaching call, and our clients were on the call this morning. I go, look, April is one of those months, and I've just always felt this. I said, we're getting out of quarter one. We're getting out of that first part of the year. We're getting out of holidays, and really we don't have anything coming up till July. Right? So people are, getting out of spring break, and they're kind of coming back in the swing, and they're trying to find their groove. Summer's going to be happening here in a few months. People are starting to kind of feel maybe they're feeling really discouraged because maybe they're not even close to their goals. I can tell you right here, this guy, right? I had goals set, and I'm like, I haven't even started them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy mackerel, it's April, special day. I promised I wouldn't say anything about it, but somebody knows. It is a special day. And as I was, shh, Krista, shh. Yeah, shh, she's all, I'll never tell. I'll never tell. You're not allowed to say. All right, but so anyways, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, you know what, today's a great day. Let's share some happiness. Let's talk to our folks today, and let's challenge them to share how do they deal with stress? How do they deal with that moment? How do they take themselves away and re-energize themselves? This is a great opportunity for us to engage with our audience, and let's see what they have to say about this as well. And I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's National Stress Awareness Month. And today, April 7th, is the day that they, how they pick a day.
Yeah,
and
pick a day.
Yeah, and so I loved that as I was talking to you about it, and I know this is such a hot topic for you. So you guys, you're in for a treat. You ready? Guess who's teaching today?
It's me.
A little round of applause for Krista, Donnie. Right?
Donnie, man, come on.
That's it. I know he's trying not to stress out.
You are stressing out.
Yeah. So anyways, all right. Well, listen, so we're going to kind of get into it. So Krista, we talked a little bit offline on this, and you made a really great comment, and I want to get into that first.
Okay.
You said one of the biggest issues with stress is, first off, being able to identify that you're even stressed out. Can you help me understand this? And I really would love for you to share a little more on the biology of really what is happening to our bodies when we are stressed and we don't know how to identify it.
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we really want to understand is that stress, good or bad, is still stress on the body. And so there is a internal response, whether it's good stress or bad stress. And let me just give you an example. When you're sick, that is stress on the body. When you're working out, that is stress on the body. Two totally different kinds of stress, one good, one bad. And I mean, we could even say that when you're sick, it's not bad because we're boosting our immune system, but still stress on the body, right? And so I think because we are constantly in and out of different states of stress, we don't recognize when it's not working for us and when it's working for us, like when it's working against us and when it's working for us. And there was a study that you and I had looked at before we hopped on. I can't remember which one it was, whether it was the Institute or the American Institute of Stress or the other one, but it talked about how stress is not bad. Stress is what keeps you from driving your car off of a cliff. Like,
okay, yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
Like we have to have that space in our brain because it keeps us safe, right? And so I think what's really important is to be able to identify. So the very first thing, anytime that we're talking or dealing about stress, and listen, I spent a whole lot of time and hours in therapy, and
because we do.
Yes, and lots of money. And the very first thing that my therapist, my EMDR therapist, my acupuncture therapist, my hypnotherapist, I've gone to a lot of them. The very first thing that they want me to do is to recognize where the stress is in my body. Okay. So Rigo, let me ask you this question. You ready, my man?
I'm ready.
Okay. When you are stressed out, I want you to share with me, and I want you to think about it. I just want you to share with me, where do you feel it? And what is the process of that feeling? Go.
Okay, well, I would say physically, I typically feel it. I feel it in my body. I do feel it in my body. I feel it I feel it essentially all over, but typically for me, oddly enough, I feel it in my gut.
Yeah.
So my gut is affected. I can always tell when I'm stressed because it doesn't matter whether, I eat fairly healthy, actually very healthy most of the times, unless I have like clients coming in.
You like your cooked stuff.
I do. And even, the meals I get here, I have ordered for me. So they're non-GMO, totally organic. Like the food I put in my body is good. I figure I try to counterbalance the cigars and whiskey, right? Yeah. I gotta give or take somewhere. Yeah. Now, when I go out, I eat what I want. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care. If I'm going out, I'm going out.
That's how most people feel.
What was that?
That's how most people feel.
Yeah, well, because I don't have time I'm not doing that. I don't know. Anyways,
well,
all right.
This isn't about that. Okay, so
all right. So I feel it in my gut. Now you're talking about just the physical too, or the mental side as well?
No. Well, mental side always comes much later. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the mental side always comes much later. So in all of my years of therapy, and I am not the expert, however, I have been a stress magnet for 40 years.
Okay.
So I feel like I do have some expertise in it because I deal with it all day long. So
So you could say you have 40 years of experience?
40 years of experience with managing stress.
Love it.
And so here's what came to fruition with all of these hours with different therapists and understanding myself. Because here's the deal. We can't fix what we don't acknowledge and understand. So knowing that from the beginning, if you are a ball of stress and your stress is affecting you in a negative way, you cannot fix what you do not acknowledge and understand. So it's super important to understand your body's physiological reaction to stress. So let me lay it out for you, Rigo, and then I want you to rethink what you just shared with me, okay?
Okay.
So when I feel stressed out, my body is constantly communicating to me. However, we're really good at shutting that down, like hush, hush, I'm too busy for that. I can't hear you right now. And then we stuff it, and then our body pings us again and says, excuse me. And then we go, excuse me, I'm busy, leave me alone. I got stuff to do. So here's how it looks in me. It starts in my belly. Okay. We call it game gut.
Say that again. What do we call it?
Game gut.
Huh. So, excuse me. So this is the nervousness like before a big event, a game, something like that. For those of us who played sports.
And you have the urge to go to the bathroom because here's what fight or flight does. Fight or flight wants to empty your bowels so that as you're running away from the lion,
you don't crap yourself or something.
Crapping yourself. Like it wants to get it done so that we can run, and like we don't want extra processes happening while we're trying to run from the lion, right?
Okay.
The problem is we run from the lion 52 times a day. So if you have chronic GI distress, if you have chronic IBS, it's almost always tied to food or stress, right? So think about that. So in my body,
I'm thinking.
Think about poop. Yes, poop is it starts in my belly, and then I go to the bathroom and I ignore it. And then I feel it rising up, and then it sits in my throat, and I can't swallow. And so then I stop drinking my water, and it sits here in my throat. And when it's in my throat, I start to feel my shoulders will start to creep up in towards my ears, right? So I have to, like, if I don't do anything about it, then I'm walking around like this, and now I have a tension, stress in my shoulders. And then here's what I've noticed in paying attention to this. When it goes from here, it doesn't automatically go right away to, like my temples. It will wrap around the back of my head.
Yep.
Come around the back of my head into my eyeballs. And now, like, my head is vibrating, the back of my head is vibrating, my eyes are vibrating, my face gets hot, and I can no longer focus. And it starts to feel like a panic attack and a breakdown. Now, why is that important? Like, great, now you know when I can choose to stop it here in my belly. I can choose to stop it here in my throat. I can choose to stop it here in my shoulders. I can choose to stop it in the vibrating of the back of my head. I can choose to stop it when it wraps around into my eyeballs and before my face feels on fire and that panic attack comes. But if I don't know the process in which I carry and feel my stress, then I don't know where to stop it sooner so that it doesn't turn into a full explosion of stressful meltdown emotions, right? So we cannot fix what we do not acknowledge and we do not understand. So it's really important to know how stress manifests in your body so that you can stop it before it is crushing you, okay? Does that make sense, Rigo?
It does. I'm writing some notes down. Yeah, no, it does. It's good.
Okay. So share with me now, what do you notice? Since now we have somewhat, do you notice it go from your belly to maybe heartburn? Do you notice it go, like, where does this now travel in you? And listen, the best thing to do is that the next time you start to feel stress is to slow down and just listen and pay attention. Right?
So interesting enough, a lot of times what happens with me with stress is my stomach doesn't feel well and I typically lose my appetite.
Oh,
but
friend.
Right?
Yes. So listen, it's one of two roadways. Either people emotionally stress eat, or the opposite, which is exactly what happens to me. I lose my appetite.
I lose my appetite, but here's the worst part about it is I start to get hungry and then I go for something that's going to hit the spot, right? So, like, bowls of cereal, like the world is ending. There'll never be another bowl of cereal again on the planet. Things like that, or like, grabbing something that's like a burger, all of a sudden a burger from like a fast food place, not just a burger, like a specific greasy, terrible burger. Like there'll be certain things that the craving becomes really bad. But most of the times I'll typically, because I'm stressing out, I'm trying to overload. I'll try to add more things on to catch up or get it done. And I'm running in 7 different ways. So I already know, even in our own teachings and practices, I already know how stupid this is.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm actually doing less now.
Yeah. When we're stressed out, logic goes out the window.
Yeah. And here's the worst part. That's where the acid reflux may come in because I have forgotten to eat.
So here's what happens. You feel it in your belly, you feel uncomfortable, and then you try to self-soothe. So your action is to self-soothe right away. You self-soothe with food that you know is not going to help you. Then the next feeling that you have in your body is the heartburn, right? Probably we know from the self-soothing, but also too, you have to remember that when we are in fight or flight, the body is responsible for releasing different hormones in order to help us do what we need to do. So there is a hormonal component to this that is being released when we are in a stressful situation. Steve, who's one of mine and yours favorite people on the planet, he wrote a blog. I think it was about this time last year. It may have been for stress National Stress Month or Day or whatever it was, where he talked about how when you are stressed out, the brain sends communication through your nervous system to your body that tells it to release certain endorphins and chemicals and hormones so that your body can then guard itself and take action, right? It can either run or it can put up its dukes and fight it out, right? And so there has to be a chemical reaction that happens internally when we are in that situation. And the hard part is we come in and out of that situation all day long with all the things in our world, all the social media, all the knowledge, all the information that's coming at us fast allows us to come in and out of that fight or flight like multiple times an hour sometimes, right? And so that is definitely, what we know about hormones is it's going to impact decision making. You're not going to make a good choice when you are stressed out or overwhelmed. Emotional eating is something that I massively manage and help people understand through my Macros Made Easy program, through my Keto Macro coaching.
Please share more about that, Krista.
Well, I help busy mamas on the go lose weight and find confidence through macro tracking and mindset training. So that they can lose it forever and never have to come back to feeling like crap again, right? I also help then people who have found success and who are ready to impact other people on how to create a business that is thriving and everything that they want so that they can show up and impact other people. And now we're just crushing it on so many levels and helping as many people as we can get to where they want to go and be healthy. And so while we're doing this, a lot of emotions come up with food because food is our number one self-soother. You know why?
Why?
Because you don't become an alcoholic. You don't lose your house because you're a gambler. You don't lose your house, your cars, your kids because you're shopping. Food is the number one drug of choice, and nobody will give you a hard time about it because you won't lose your house, you won't lose your teeth, you won't lose your cars. Nobody will say anything about it.
No, that makes perfect sense. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things in our life and in society today that is not proactively being more concerned about the health and long-term effects of a body. I mean, in no way, neither you or I agree with any level of shaming, right, to a body at all. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to have an effect to our lives. I know that, you know that, and so do the people that are struggling with it. But it's easy. You're right. It's easy to hide. It's easy to hide. And one of the things I noticed is, and you're probably going to help me understand this, but the next level that starts to get affected immediately for me is insomnia. It comes in massively, and it gets harder and harder and harder to sleep.
Yeah. And so insomnia, a piece of that, so that's actually one of the last steps. And I'm going to give you a strategy when you start to feel yourself getting into this space. And it goes right in alignment with insomnia. I have so many clients that come to me. They're overwhelmed, they're overworked, they're overscheduled with their kids, this is my story 100%, right? And so, I'm looking at my weekend right now and I'm like, okay, 7 ball games and my husband works 48 hours and I'm one person.
Yeah, I don't know very many moms, dads, any parent that honestly, like I've told you a couple times, I'm like, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I tell my kids all the time, you don't even know how much I love you. One day you'll understand.
When they try, like we'll do one kid, one sport. That's it.
Yeah.
Remember, with 6 of them, we're like, nah, we're not doing 2 of you.
What I would have to do? I'd be like, you 2 are playing over here and you take that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? So the very first thing is we want to know physically what happens to our body so that we can notice and name what is going on. Listen, you're going to get stressed out. It's going to affect you. Good stress, bad stress. It's not, our bodies were created for that. Our brains were created to understand stress. And so it's not that we want to eliminate stress from our lives completely. It's just we want to be aware of what it looks like so that we can manage it. We're not trying to get rid of it. We're trying to manage it. And so then the next phase would be, Rigo, once you understand what happens to you physically, now we want to name it, right? We want to notice and we want to name.
So we're talking like George or Frank or like, what are we talking about?
I mean, truly, get super specific, right?
Okay.
Like, if you notice that George is constantly sending you to a level 10 of stress, then we need to sit down with a journal, with a piece of paper, and we need to notice and name it.
George. So Donnie, then we're gonna name it Donnie. I'm just playing, Donnie. I'm just playing.
We are going to notice and name the stress. Okay.
Okay.
And what this does when we get out a piece of paper and we notice and we name it. Okay. Like I will give you an example.
Run me through one too. I'm happy. We can do it right now. I'll do it live for just.
So I'll run through mine, then you run through yours.
I feel like I need a couch to sit on, but that's fine.
And cucumbers on your eyes.
Yeah.
So before we hopped on this call, I logged on and you saw me. I was zipping around my office.
Yep.
The clutter in my office, and it's not my clutter. I just put away like 52 things that my children brought into my office. So I started to feel really annoyed with my children. And then I was like, I can't sit down and do this call. All of this was covered in stuff. Their school papers, signed this. Oh, look at this project. Their clothes are on my floor. There's pens and markers. And
and you didn't do what I would do, because I would have been like, well, the camera sees this, so.
No,
I was watching you. You were actually putting everything away, and I was like, all right, we got like 4 minutes.
And here's why. I did that for a week, and it nagged at me, and it nagged at me, and it nagged at me, and I started to feel, I'm not kidding you, before we hopped on, I started to feel my traps up at my ears. It hadn't gone into the vibrating yet, but I did think to myself, oh my gosh, do I need to take some ibuprofen or something, because I feel it coming? And then I sat down, I was like, what is causing me to feel this right now? And then I just glanced over like this, and I was like, it's my freaking office. Like, if your space is cluttered, your brain can be cluttered. If your brain is cluttered, we've got to manage that. So right? let me ask you a question then, Krista.
Now, like Michelle, like my wife, you two have a lot of similarities, and I'm not gonna lie, I have the same need to a degree.
Yeah.
But for you, I noticed this about you. Same with Michelle. Mm-hmm. If your environment is not in the zone that you need it to be, it's a distraction and it creates unneeded stress.
100%.
Okay, so is that, like, let's say there are some folks, we all know them, that messy is no big deal. There's a difference between dirty and messy.
Yeah.
And messy, they don't really care.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't seem to bother them. So is this ID that you've recognized, is this your personal trigger?
Yes.
Okay, so then this would be an area where we have to learn how to, one of the great steps here would then be to recognize and identify those triggers.
Yep, name it.
Okay,
it, right?
Got it. And so this is where we're talking about the naming aspect. Okay, good.
So noticing it is I feel stress. Naming it is what is stressing me out. And then here's what happens when you spend the next month or two noticing and naming. Now we can see triggers. Now we can identify people, situations, circumstances. Like messy for me, I cannot be productive if my house is messy. My brain will obsess on the messy house. If I go clean the playroom or whatever, or get it picked up, my brain clears itself and I know this about myself. For other people, not an issue. The house could be a hot mess. And this is why stress is so tricky. This is why it's so tricky. It's not the same for any two people, right? What stresses me out, my husband's like, Puh. And what stresses him out, I'm like, really? Like that?
No, you're absolutely right. That was one of the reasons why I put that even in the description for this program, was look, like, how can you, any one person say, that they can identify stress. And, this is really important. And when we're working and communicating with other people, and I've talked to my children about this during the course of their life as well, when they would be emotionally broke down over something. And I would explain to them, like, your feelings are your feelings.
Yeah.
Right. I cannot tell you that your feeling on this subject is not appropriate. I can't tell you that this struggle you're going through is not a real struggle, because I'm not you.
Yeah.
Right. I am not processing through your capacity. I don't know what you're going through in your mind, in your body, to identify that. So you're allowed to be able to have that emotion. Now, how do we identify that? And that's exactly where you're going with this. How do we Like you say, notice and name. And I really like that. Notice and name.
Notice where it is in your body. Name what circumstance or exterior. So the notice is internal. The name it is exterior, right? So notice inside, where is that stress going? Okay. And listen, different stressful situations will populate differently. So let me give you an example. When my son was little, he was born with a lot of medical issues. He had heart surgery at 4 months. He aspirated till he was 3. He had plagiocephaly. He had tracheomalacia. We had a lot of medical issues. Okay. My work stress and everyday, like managing the calendar busyness stress results in no appetite at all. My emotional family love heart stress, my heart stress results in emotional binging and eating. So I've done enough work, and we all need to know these things, because when we are at the bottom of a potato bag, a potato chip bag, we know this is not, my work stress. This is heart. My heart is suffering. My heart is hurting. And we cannot shift or change if we don't recognize where we're at with it, right? So that's why noticing and naming it and understanding this is so important, so that we can be better, so that we can manage it and not do things that are going to hurt us and put us 10 steps back every time we get overwhelmed.
Dude, that makes so much sense. All right, so I'm gonna open this up to you guys watching. So first off, do us a favor. If you are watching right now live, and I see quite a few of you online, do us a favor, drop a hashtag live. Number one, this helps, okay? It lets others know that we're live, and it'll bring more people to the program and make awareness. That's all we ask. Just drop a hashtag live. Let us know that you're there. Hey, if you really want to do us a solid, share it.
Yeah.
Put it on your page. Let everybody know the conversation's happening and what we're getting into. But here's what I'm going to ask. Okay. Right now, as we're getting through this, why don't you guys let us know, how do you identify, or have you even taken a second to identify? So let's hear the different types of examples in regards to how this works. Okay. Let us know. How does your body react to it? What do you notice? Are you seeing the same signs with us? Are there certain levels that you have to get through the clutter, like Chris is talking about? Let us know and get it into the conversation so we can engage with you while we're going through this. So, all right, Krista, go ahead. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, cool. So when you're noticing and naming it, it could be a person. It could be, honestly, sometimes it can be like a seasonal change. There's so many reasons why we start to feel stressed out, okay? Maybe Christmas is coming and you've lost somebody, and Christmas is not what it is for everybody else. And that's what, going back to what you said, Rigo, is somebody else's stress. I cannot judge what makes somebody else feel stressed, right? So when you notice a name, have a compassion and open-mindedness to yourself. Don't beat yourself up for being upset that your office is cluttered, which is causing you stress. Like, if that's what it is, that's what it is. Like, we make an adjustment and we clear the clutter so that we don't continue to stress ourselves out. Okay. So far what we've done is we have understood where it happens in us internally, physically. Where do we feel the stress? Knowing where we feel the stress allows us to address it and identify it before we're full on into breakdown mode. Okay. And listen, some of us have a lot longer of like a stress level, right? Like a stress level. Totally. And here's the deal, Rigo. I am a 3-monther. If I don't manage my stress, about every 3 months, I have a crash and burn day. It's been about a year since I've had that, because I've really tried to manage it. But notice that as well.
Every three months?
Every quarter.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I consider myself to be pretty tough, but even at that, that's a lot of breakdowns in a year. That's 4. I'm not trying.
Oh, so that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying. I mean, we're talking meltdown. The sky is falling.
Chicken Little status.
1000%, right?
Okay, all right.
That's not good for my business. It's not good for my.
Well, it's not good for anybody, right? So I'm gonna jump off on a tangent here, because I think you brought something up. In business, in any of the work we do, one of the most important elements is understanding our data. Right. So we want to do what, right? Like, whenever we're trying to achieve something, we want to have a base level to start from, right? We want to understand how to identify whether whether our metrics are actually working that we're setting for us. And so in order to do that, what do we need to do? we need to set a base based on historical facts so that we can measure if things are getting worse or if things are getting better. So would you say, because you brought up a good point, you say you have about one every 3 months if you're not working through managing it, okay?
Yeah.
So based on that, would a good system be to try to look back and say, okay, in the last 3 months, in the last 6 months, how many breakdowns have I had? How many times, did I have some levels of regret where I lost my temper with my family or my children, or I snapped when I didn't need to, or I just responded improperly at work, or right? Would that be smart for us to go back, even though it's maybe counterproductive to go identify these bad moments, but
no, I mean, I think it's so wise and intelligent, Rigo, to have check-in points with yourself. Here's the deal. The most important relationship that you have in your world is the relationship that you have with yourself. Who's the last person that you check in on? Guaranteed you check in on your kids, you check in on your clients, you check in on your wife, you check in. When was the last time you sat down and said, hey, Rigo, how are you? Like, what needs are not being met? How are you meeting your needs? How are you loving on yourself? How are you showing up for you? And this is what I spend 99% of my time with
Such a good point, Krista.
Weight gain is not about the food. It is about a broken relationship with yourself, and stress just deepens that brokenness and causes us to make choices that continue to break our relationship with ourselves. Right? Now, listen, you might not be a food person. When you get stressed out, you may be a chewer. My husband was a chewer for years. As soon as I nagged him at all, I would watch him open up a can of chew, pop it in his mouth. And I was like, for reals, like, that's your coping mechanism, cancer, right? And like, whatever. So we had
he coped with Copenhagen.
He coped with Copenhagen. And listen, somebody else might cope with gambling. You might cope with pornography. You might cope with gambling. Like
Work is probably, I would say, for our audience, and that's another one, Krista, that's another one we can hide behind. I can tell you right now, work is one of mine.
Yeah. And
I literally start another company.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I have another idea.
We hide it with, this is good for our family. This is going to provide. This is just like an alcoholic or an addict would make an excuse. And here's the deal. That is all triggered by stress. If we didn't have stress that we didn't manage, it would not manifest into these things. So here's how we know this. Okay. So stress or lack thereof, we are always having thoughts in our head. Okay. We're always having thoughts in our head. So a circumstance will create a thought. A thought will create a feeling. A feeling creates an action, and an action creates a result. When we have a negative stressful thought, it creates a negative feeling. It creates a negative action, which creates a negative result. And if we don't understand that that's where we are, we will continue to produce negativity in our world, and things will not work for us. When we have stress that is good for us, that challenges us and empowers us, we have a powerful thought, which leads to a powerful feeling, which leads to a powerful action and a powerful result, right? So that's why stress is good and bad, and we need to manage and understand both so that we can move in the direction of good for us. And when it's not good for us, we can slow it down and say, okay, how can I pivot? Because that's what Isaac brought up. He said, I get stressed when I don't know what to do next. That is your brain telling you we need to pump the brakes, slow down, analyze, and make a decision. Instead, we just go, I don't know. And we add more stress. We take no action. We have no clarity, and we get stuck, right?
I stopped taking notes. I'm just writing timestamps. I've got 30.31, 32.30, 33.47.
And listen,
this is so good, Krista.
It's just, I deal with women every day who this is where they're at. And here's what I will tell you, okay? Our stress, what ends up happening when we have no idea where it happens in our body and we have no way to notice and name it, which is to identify it, then this is what happens. The only way that we manage it is our feelings are bossing us around. Our thoughts are bossing us around. And what we know is that we're going to feel good and we're going to feel bad. So our actions are going to be good or they're going to be bad. Here's what we have to step into. Okay. We have to step into being observers of our thoughts and our emotions in stress and out of stress so that we can boss our brain around and we can boss our emotions around. We can say, yes, Krista, I see that you are frustrated and upset with the condition of your house. However, we have two options here. Address it with your kiddos and ask them to change their behavior. Like, my office is not your dumping ground. Or B, pick it up, get over it, and move on. Two options, right? So that goes back to Isaac's point.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, and that causes me more stress. Well, Isaac, that's when you sit down and you go, okay, here is my situation that is causing me stress. I can feel it in my belly. I'm noticing and naming it. This is the situation that's causing me stress. What is my solution or my very next step? And then you take it. Now we are owning our situation. We are owning our stress and we are changing it.
Okay. This is good. So I've got there's a couple things I want to bring up. Number one, there's a great question. And I'd seen a comment earlier. I don't know who said it. I have to go back and look, but said, I don't think I feel stress. Mm-hmm. That's not scientifically possible, right? Is that somebody not identifying it? I mean, unless there is a physical issue with a person's, like literally like a neurological issue that needs to be dealt with, right? Our bodies are always dealing with stress. It's just a matter of some is good, some is negative.
Well, I think he said, I don't feel stress, right? Let me see.
Okay.
Because feel. So I will tell you, my husband, I have a son who has high anxiety. My family tends to be anxious, right? And stress and anxiety kind of go hand in hand. They're like sisters, right? And so my husband will tell me.
I'm glad that you identified them as women.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I
identify as a woman, so they must be, right? So
I know, whatever. I just thought that was a funny opportunity to crack a little he versus she joke. Sorry.
So listen, my husband will tell me he does not have anxiety. And so, I mean, who am I to tell him that he doesn't have anxiety? If he does not believe he has anxiety, then he doesn't have anxiety. But when my husband gets overwhelmed, which I see it as anxiety, he does not do what I do. He doesn't shut down. He doesn't stress eat. What he does is he gets angry. He throws stuff.
Yeah.
If something is not, he's trying to put something together and it's not working, he will manhandle it. He will end up breaking the thing he's trying to fix because his stress gets so high. So not everybody manages it the same, right? And so stress can come off as anxiety. It can come off as anger. It can come off as sadness and depression. Like, that's the aftermath of it, right?
Now, but let's identify something too about his character. Your husband's a fireman. Correct. So he already has a higher tolerance.
Completely.
Right? So think about this, right? So there's a reason why certain folks will stay in the military or even get into the military, take roles of law enforcement, roles of like these emergency services, EMTs, paramedics, firemen. Like, this life has an enormous amount of stress. And for the ones that can get through that life, right, they have to have had a tolerance in order, and not everybody builds it in the field, right? Some are naturally gifted with the ability to manage it. So he could very well not have that same level of anxiety. But if like, I know many like this, they don't identify it, nothing ever bothers them, but when they do they blow up.
Yeah, right.
They blow up. And right, that's the same thing. It's like, boom, all of a sudden they blow up.
Yeah. And you're right. And so that's something too, for each person that's listening to this video. You have to understand your environment, where you are, and how that's going to be different for you. My husband can't shut down when he's going on a drowning. He can't shut down when he's in a car accident. He has to keep it moving forward. So he has to compartmentalize his stress differently. And so it comes out differently. And so he has to manage it in different ways than I do. When I feel stress, I can handle it right then and there. A lot of times for him, he cannot, right? And so it doesn't feel like anxiety to him, because he's not in the moment of where the stress is happening. He's already removed from it. And so I would challenge anyone watching this to start to notice your feelings. Your feelings will be the roadmap back to what is actually going on and causing you to feel stressed, angry, overwhelmed, sometimes even a little apathetic. Like if you find yourself wanting to take no action at all and just not being motivated, that is also an aftermath of stress that our body will put us there. We're like, I literally don't want to do anything. I just shut down and I have no desire to move forward, to be a better employee, to be a better boss, or to do anything different. I just feel stale. That's a byproduct of stress too. That's what our body goes into.
Interesting. So what I think is, Paul brings up a good point here. I'm going to go to the comment.
Yeah.
But he talks about the Yerkes-Dawson law, and we've seen this. If I give you 2 hours to complete an assignment. If I give you a project that's, I'm going to tell you get it done in 2 hours or 2 weeks or 2 days, and you'll put it off, and then all of a sudden in the last hour prior to, you'll be able to knock it out. So a 2-day project you can get done in 2 days. I don't necessarily think that could be looked at as, and maybe we just we'll have to find an expert. Hey, by the way, if you are a, clinical psychologist or anybody that deals with this professionally, we would love to have you on. What we should have done is grab Steve back on. By the way, I'm going through his book again. The first time I read it, I did it as a courtesy, and I didn't really pay attention. I don't know about you guys, but have you ever gone through like 4 or 5 chapters and you're like,
my bad.
don't even remember?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, I was doing something because apparently I was turning pages. And so I'm going through it again and I'm like, wow. And I'm like tapping Michelle. Look at this. And she's like, yeah, I've been telling you this for 10 years, 20 years.
It's brilliant. And you know what? Here's the absolute truth, Rigo. You and I come on here and we're experts at a few things, but not at everything. This is to open up a conversation.
Oh, well, come on.
And some of us.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly right.
Conversation. This is to get the wheels turning and burning and to move you into opening up your brain to something that maybe you've never thought before. But by no means am I classified, registered, anything, doctorate of any of this. This is just my experience in working with hundreds of mamas who have come to me in a very broken state. And I work with men too. I work with their husbands, but this has been the experience, and science has taught us that nothing is better than getting in and experiencing it and finding solutions to where you're at. And this is just kind of what I've seen work for hundreds of people, right?
No, I think, hold on. I lost audio for a second. Yeah. Well, here, I can't hear anything like without these. And so if Donnie doesn't have the headset up, I just see my lip. Yeah, I'm lost. I can't hear myself. So anyway, sorry about that, guys.
You're good.
But no, when you're in the roles that we're in, and I think we're very fortunate to do the things we do with coaching and training, you get a lot of experience really fast.
Yeah.
And the reason is because you're dealing with so many different types of personalities, and you're watching what they're going through, and we have the gift of being able to be on the outside looking in.
Perspective, right?
That perspective. That's exactly right. And I think we're very fortunate for that. I think that's the power of having, a good counselor or therapist or doctor or someone in your corner, having a friend, having, a leader in your church or an organization you're a part of that you can trust, a mentor. That's exactly right. When we talk about some of the ways of getting through these moments. Hey, listen, it is the International, Stress Awareness Month for a reason. And it's interesting because this is that time of the year where you're starting to really get to a point. You said every quarter. So think about it. A couple weeks ago, you just finished coming off a series of relaxing, de-stressing, disconnecting, moments where you've been able to pull yourself away from what could have been a buildup, right?
Yeah.
And so this is perfect because you're learning to what, right? You've told me this last year. You were saying, I'm making this isn't optional for me and my family anymore,
Yep.
right? Taking time away, not having your phone. I mean, we're talking disconnect and getting yourself in that place because you're identifying what your body needs. I think, this is a great opportunity. Maybe the challenge is like, journal your day challenge. I don't know, but maybe that's what we do for the next couple of weeks as a group. We start to really, let's identify that. And I mean, that's one of the things I want to do. Go ahead.
Perfect. So that's exactly right. Okay. So the very first thing, Rigo, that we do, and somebody put in there, rest is the best medicine for stress. And that's exactly, that's exactly what happened, right? Because I was like, okay, these meltdowns are coming every 3 months. What is my body and brain communicating to me that I am not listening to? And it was, you need time off from everything. Disappoint people, tell them no, step away, go do something outside of your house so you don't do laundry, dishes, and reorganize the closets and start a new project in your house. That's what I have to do. That's what I recognize that I have to do. But it goes in this process, okay? And I would challenge everyone for the next month, since this is the National Stress Awareness Month, is this. Understand in your body where stress originates from and understand the whole process, okay? Don't judge it, just understand it. The second, notice and name it. The third, you are going to brain dump. When you notice and you name that you are stressed, I want you to get out a piece of paper and dump every thought, every single teeny tiny little thought in your brain that is, and just keep your pen going until it stops. And then take a deep breath and notice and name again. Okay, it was this, and this is what it is. And then you can take an action, and you just need the next step. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need the next step of what to do. Okay, I need to remove myself. I need to take 10 breaths. I need to set a boundary with this person or with this job or with this whatever. And that will bring your stress level down. Here's the thing about sleep that you mentioned, Rigo. I get insomnia because your brain is going into overtime. This is the very first thing that I teach my clients to do, Rigo. When your primal brain starts to spaz out, I need you to take control of it. And we take control of it by dumping everything that is in here on a piece of paper. Watch the power of putting your thoughts on paper. You clear up the clutter in your brain. Now you can tell your feelings and your brain what to do instead of your brain and your feelings telling you what to do in that state of stress. Now you are making logical decisions instead of emotional decisions because of a stress trigger that you just had. So that's the full circle situation here.
I love it. So this is what I got. I've got number one, understand it. So this is where we're getting into identifying the physical, right? This is what we're looking for. We're understanding it by identifying the physical attributes that are leading to these bigger moments. Number two, notice and name it. And in order to get to that point, this is it's almost like a 2.A. And this is a process of dumping everything down, getting it all written down, bringing it all out.
Yeah.
So that way you can then calmly, once again, really go through that notice and name. And then number three, choose an action. Choose a small action that's going to move you forward just one step at the minimum, right, into dealing with that. So I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take the next 30 minutes for myself. I'm going to take the day off. I'm going to, whatever the case is.
Yep. Have a conversation.
Yeah.
It is. And so listen, this is like level.
Do some yoga, go meditate. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic here. This is
me either. And actually, so this is like a level one, right? Of like, we have to go here first before we have really incredible strategies on de-escalating our stress. Okay. Because I'll give you just a few thoughts. I, in my world, will do tapping. There's there's a tapping mechanism and there's tapping stuff that we can do that. And Steve talks about this too, but I also follow a few tappers that they tap and certain places that you tap will bring down your stress and your heart rate, right? There's also, I have a really good friend of mine. Her name is Suki. We should totally bring her on this show.
I would love to, because I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, this is interesting.
Jot that down. We should get a tapper on.
So I'm all.
No, you do here in your We do here in your temples, and then there's another pressure point here.
Yeah, that. Hey, if you're watching and you guys know a tapper, this is new. I'm not gonna lie. I've never heard this before in my life.
So we need to find her, and then Suki is a really good friend, and I said to her, whoever it is, a tapper. Suki is a really good friend of mine, and she deals with trauma release in the body. Stress creates trauma. One of the things that I just learned from her, and she has an incredible YouTube channel, is how to release tension, stress, like tension, headache, stress, by massaging certain part. Look, see, just moving your ears. I did this whole thing with her yesterday by releasing and loosening. And she tells you 3 different places in your ear and stretching your ear. It was, listen, Rigo, I went and looked through her comments. There were over 30,000 comments of people who were having stress, breakdowns, panic attacks, who had their Fitbits on and watched their heart rate de-escalate. So what we talked about today is level 1.
From touching their ears?
From I will send you the video. It was magical.
Okay, no, that, you know what? Yes, we'll have to drop it in the comments later on this.
Brilliant.
Listen, there's a reason why we can't massage ourselves, right? Like if I want to right, there's something to touch, physical touch. Whether if we're which you know makes a lot of sense if there's somebody who's teaching techniques like that. That seems to make a lot of sense because now these are areas that you can induce for your own self, because if I want to relax my muscles or my body, I can't sit there and massage myself. It's not the same. Like, yeah, I can feel that I'm taking a tension point out, but it's not like getting a massage, for instance, to release the tension out, right?
That's right. Yeah. So know that today is opening a discussion on where stress manifests, how to identify it, and then what we need to do as a group together or in your own world is have tools and strategies. Once you are there and you notice and you name it and you know what it feels like, now what is your tool bag on different stressors and what allows you to release it and manage it and bring it down? I've got a few different tools and I teach them to my kids too, because they're eventually going to be, you know, a baseball game gets stressful and I need my son to be able to manage his stress so that he can perform, right? And so I mean, when you said, let's talk about stress today, I was like, I'm in.
You know what? I think this is great. This has been an awesome conversation. Like you said, a level 1, but we need to get into this more. Here's what I want to know from you guys right now watching. First off, number 1, if you don't already know this about us, then I'm just going to tell you again, this is what we do. We want to bring this value to you, and we want to do this every Thursday. So we ask that in order for you to know what's going on, join our community by giving us a text of #lunch to 316-799-8052. Okay? #lunch 316-799-8052. We ask that you have not already considered following Krista or myself. Please do so. You can connect with us there on LinkedIn, and you could also follow our YouTube channel with a lot more of these. This is episode 38. Okay? And Krista and I have a lot of amazing stuff planned for the rest of the year. We have some huge goals on how we're going to be able to bring awareness to you guys that's going to help you grow, become stronger in your lives through leadership, through mentorship, and bringing more guests that are going to fire you up. Like last week, who else was fired up about Kevin last week?
So good, yes.
Yeah, like I have not received, I'll tell you what, there's been amazing guests. There was 2 guests we've had that have gotten that much amazing feedback. He was one of them.
Who was the other one?
Maria.
I knew it.
Yeah, Maria. Yeah, so we got to have, by the way, I'm going to post it right now. Maria.
About you, girl.
Yeah, we're talking about you. I'm going to tag her. And we're going to have her back. She says she wants to come back, so we got to get her back. But, you know, so is this helping you? Okay? That's what we want to know. Is this helping you? Do you find any value in it? Share with others. Let them know what we're doing. Every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central Time, right here, where you're watching live. And we do it live. We love it live. Because you know what you're going to get? You're going to get hot mics for 20 minutes, right? You're going to get stuff that happens.
Paul, who says, where's this touching conversation going?
Yeah. You're going to get Paul with all of Paul's comments. Paul's a regular, by the way. He's
Paul says, can you do one on natural remedies? I have a naturopathic doctor. Her name's Dr. Chris Wallace. I have probably sent 100 people to her, Rico.
Let's bring her on.
Let's bring her on. But put Dr. Chris Wallace on your, I know she'll come. She would
okay.
love to pour into our audience.
I'm writing it down.
Let's do it. Let's calendar it, my man.
Yeah, we'll get it going. Listen, we want to bring more of this too. If you like what you're seeing, let us know. Please, Krista and I really rely on this to know where we were going to go next and how we can help you guys. Listen, it helps us too. We get it, right? Both of us.
Right?
Yeah, we're founders, entrepreneurs, building our businesses, trying to run our families, be a part of the family at the same time, and be a part of our communities and help you guys grow. Listen, I want to thank you guys so much. Krista, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you, Krista, so much. A little round of applause for our amazing co-host who was our teacher today. So, yeah, we appreciate all you guys' suggestions as well. We appreciate you guys getting engaged, and we can't wait to do more of this for you. So we'll put some more things into the comments. Thank you very much, Isaac. Appreciate it. Dave, all you guys. I think we're good to go today. I want to tell you guys, listen, there is a reality to this, and I'll tell you this. If you're dealing with this, if you're at any level of depression, if you're at a level of stress where it's gotten to a point, please reach out. You cannot do it alone. I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't care what you're going through. Maybe the person may not always be able to understand, because when they say somebody understands, you know what? I don't think that matters at that point, because I've been in that place where there's nobody that can convince me that they do. But finding somebody to talk to and work through it with, finding somebody to be able to release, or at least know that you're not alone in the journey, is so important. That ultimately is what I care the most about. It's watching somebody, there's been some terrible things in the last few months that have happened. There's things happening in our world right now that could be overwhelming. And we've seen some horrible stories of people well-known in the media and sports, and they're not here anymore because they allowed this to take over their life. And I'm telling you guys right now, that's the most important thing. So please reach out. There's tons of resources out there, but by the very least, find somebody that you can trust and that you care about, and have them be a part of the journey. If we in any way can help you, if you are looking to change your life in a place and increase your career, you're a woman who's looking to change things and you want to help other women, you need to get a hold of Krista. You need to see what Krista's doing. Okay, she's doing amazing things, has been for years, and the lives that she's changing and the power of what that is doing for them is incredible. If you're looking at a way to change how you bring your business out into a social media presence and understand social selling and want to understand how you can do that organically and create leads, then you get a hold of us and we can talk through it and share with you. But otherwise, this show's for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Krista, are we good? Donnie, we good?
Yeah.
All right, guys, be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you back here next Thursday, 1 p.m., same time. Talk to you soon.